Welcome to Gerhards Guitarworks.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, man. So when was the overall business of Gerhards? Is that right?
Gerhards Guitarworks started in 2007 out of necessity. The company that I was working for decided to seriously downsize, and so we were all left wondering what to do. And I just simply wanted to stay in the game of making guitars and being involved because I still play. And so I just started calling up the people over in Woodstock, and they gave me a shot, and here I am all these years later. Mostly what I do is finishing for other luthiers. I do have a tech room in here, and we'll get to that in a little bit, and I also make my own guitars. So it's a little bit, it's everything guitars, we can do it. We're mostly a shop that creates other people's guitars to look good, and also we make our own guitars. This is from a manufacturer down in Woodstock. His name is Bruce Ackerman. This is actually my acoustic guitar. It's modeled after the Django Reinhardt's Machiavelli. This is Alana's. It's the 1964 K, and I restored it, and I actually put a floating jazz pickup into it.
This is the F.
That's the F
line,
hole.
right?
Right.
And
It's
you
an
have
F hole.
a...
Well, I do a traditional F hole. I also have some other designs, and as we go around the shop, you'll see other people's designs too. I have on this one, I decided to call it a G hole for obvious reasons. So it's just a different design for no other reason than to do that. This also has a hood scoop on it. This is a raised platform for your guitar.
Oh, I see it.
My designs is about cars and guitars, but that also helps with controlling, especially in a hollow body. This is my Rocket 88. It also has a hood scoop. This hood scoop was modeled after a 1957 Thunderbird. This hood scoop on this one was modeled after a Dodge Ram, the new Dodge Ram pickup trucks. This one here has 3 single coil pickups and it's very Strat-like. But the top on that is spalted maple, and decided to make a guitar around that. Here's a nice little thing right here. Get a shot of this headstock. This is a piece of black palm. You can see little dots into it. It kind of looks like a leopard skin.
Yeah, it does.
But this is my new headstock design, and every time you get a top, whatever that top is, I will try to match up here that particular color on any guitar that I make for you. Being as it's a custom shop, if you had an idea and you came to me and said, listen, Q, I got this idea, can you do it? We would sit in this room for a while, we'd talk about it. You'd come back in a couple weeks, you'd revamp it. I'd make it for you. This is my tech room. People come in, I have an order form for them. They give me their name and address, their email, and their phone number. And then we go through the make and the model of it. And then I ask them what exactly is it that we need to be done. And here's some of my, some of my stuff that I sell. These are electric strings, there's capos, there's the string winders, there's picks, nylon strings, mandolin strings. These are banjo strings, humidifier packs for your guitar, which really is a necessity when you're getting involved in acoustic guitars. We got some straps here too we can sell you. And we've got some cables over here. Some lanyards just for fun. Some bridges here. Short cables. Tuners. And here's the finishing room. I've got an old 1930s buffers from Chicago. This thing will help me buff up anything. This one here's the smaller ones for lacquer finishes. This doesn't spin as fast. This will only spin at 1700 RPMs. This thing will go up to about 4,000 RPMs.
Wow.
These on the bottom are a couple of Joviettes. These are solid bodies. This is a Matt Ardinger right here. Beautiful guitar. As you can see, we put the color on. We do everything. These are coming in raw bodies right now for me to put the finish on them. This is a 1957 Jet Firebird. It's an old Gretsch. It's a total restoration project right now. We just got the finish off of it. This is a piece of Buckeye. This was sanded today. This is a piece of mahogany on the back, piece of Buckeye on the top. As you can see, it's got knots and everything, but when we get done finishing it, it's going to look like marble. This is actually, though, going to be a satin finish. This will not be high gloss. Okay, so here's my wood shop. This is where I make my own guitars. This is where I do a lot of work on guitars. And I've got a couple different benches, and as you can see, I've got a bunch of woodworking tools in here right now. So I'll give you a quick tutorial. This is a Slam Allen Stratocaster that I made him. It's got my headstock on it. The reason why it's here, he didn't like the maple fretboard anymore. This blue tape on here is to protect the fretboard from me spraying it. This is going to have a satin back. It's got a gloss headstock on it right now. And that's why it's here. It's almost done. Be done in 2 days. He's got a couple of gigs coming up at the end of the week. And so therefore, he'll have this Stratocaster back for him. But it's for mine, my shop right here. It's got a beautiful, I put a little bit of a root beer on top of this. It's metal flake. It's House of Colors metal flake. It's the highest end you can get in metal flake colors. It's the same thing that you'll get on motorcycles and cars.
Right.
This one here is an old Gretsch. This one here is going to need binding restoration. It's not going to be refinished. Just going to put some binding back on it and dial in on it. This is one of mine right here. This is another Solo Flight coming through. It's in its raw form. It's got a trough right here for the binding. As you can see, no pickups are cut. It's got the neck on it. There's that slot for your truss rod cover. It's a long ways from being complete. This is a Les Paul. It has no frets. It has no fret markers. This is the way I got it.
Oh, wow.
This is an old Guild Starfire 4. I had to do some bridge work on it, and I also had to fix one of these tuners that broke on it. These are the original tuners on it. This thing is, it's got some age to it. Now I've got to set the intonation, and this has one really incredibly detailed bridge. It's got a screw from both ends, so it'll move back and forth the saddle on the string. That's the last thing I've got to do to it right now. I also cleaned up the pots a little bit. Had a little bit of scratchiness in the switch and everything. Very cool guitar. Another guitar out of New York and New Jersey area, between the Guilds and the Gretches and stuff. This area, the D'Angelicos and the D'Acquistos, New York has had a lot of great luthiers and still does. This is an Epiphone. This is a Blackstone. Somebody's modified it. These guitars, this is about 1943 or 44. It did not have any pickups or pots in it. So this guy bought it for a song and dance, but I've had to modify it because the pickup that was in it was really beat up, and we're putting this new pickup that the customer bought, and I've had to modify a dog ear to get it to work in here. This is from a Nashville maker, and I've just got to fix up a couple finish flaws, and then this will go out. This is a Paul Reed Smith, the same thing. It's got a couple finish flaws in it, and I've got to do that restoration on it and get it out of here. This is a Stratocaster that I made, but the reason why I made it is because I wanted to put a cool finish on it. I call this Taken for Granted. This is a color that I just came up with. The background could be white, it could be red. This one is black.
That's beautiful.
But this is a Stratocaster, and it's got the gold anodized pickguard on it.
And it's like a flat gold. It's like,
yeah,
it's really nice.
Right.
It's something I haven't seen.
It's old
before.
school look.
Yeah, I haven't seen
on
it
that.
before. It's really, really nice.
This one has all the guitars that I need to work on, and some mandolins that I got to get worked on. So this is a room that has its control of its humidity, and that's why I've got that door right there, which is an exterior door, to make sure this room stays where it needs to stay. And that's why I store all these things in here that are sometimes the lacquer finishes got to stay here, and all these pieces in here, so they can stay controlled.
Now what is this
year in and year out. This machine here is a vacuum press. So when I make my guitars, and you'll see that one downstairs, and these are pieces of wood right here. These are going to be tops to some of my guitars. This is a piece of quilted maple.
Yeah,
all right, it was quarter sawn, so it looks like flame, but it's not. So I would put this top on a block of wood. We'd lower this down, and this will suck out all the air and compress it and glue it better than any clamp, because you'll have all equal distribution of all the power that this thing will do.
Pressure.
And actually I could put 4 of them in here at a time.
Oh, wow.
If I wanted to. So that's called a vacuum press.
Cool.
And then we keep
oh yeah, I can see the thermostat control or humidity.
Well, that's just a reader.
That's
That's just telling us what it is. And this right here is what I call my prep room. Some of these guitars do have their top coat on them. Some of these guitars have just the sealer coat on them, and they've been sanded and are waiting for me to put a top coat on them. You can see some necks over here, and this one is a Joviet. that he just brought back because when they were assembling it, they had a little nick in it, so I've got to fix that.
Plus you gotta add the neck and.
Well, he's got the neck, so
he's got it on
he
this.
kept the neck. This one here is a copy of a 60s Les Paul. It's made by Gibson. They put it out in the 80s. And this one got water damage, and this headstock cap right here is actually coming off because of the water damage.
Oh, right.
And this was all cracked, so I had to just take the finish off of it. Now I've got to glue this cap back on and put lacquer back on it.
Yeah,
This one right here has got its top coat on it, but it has not been wet sanded or buffed. That's something I've got to do to it. This one here has a lacquer finish on it. This is something I got to wet sand and buff out also.
well, I see it's indented, like recessed.
Yeah, it's got a recurve in it, so
Right.
it's raised in the middle and then swoops out.
Very cool look.
Now that's a Matt Artinger, as is a lot of these pieces. A couple of small Viettes. These ones have to be wet sanded and they have to be buffed out. These will be actually delivered this week, so they're pretty close to being done. This is a nice little thing. This is kind of a Skeletor. It's all going to go together in pieces when all's said and done.
Oh, right.
So we're going to do this and this. It's going to be screwed together.
It's almost like a electric stand-up bass type.
Sort of, yeah. It's
Right,
really,
right.
it's a different design, obviously, but that's what the customer wanted.
That's
So you've
cool.
got some horns here and stuff. This will
Yeah,
be mounted
that's great.
onto it. So, but it's going to be difficult for me to spray it because I've got to come around and figure out how to get it out of my hands and to be able to spray all these parts.
Right.
But I know how I'm going to do it.
Oh, obviously.
This has all my paints in it, and this one has all my stains in it. And it also has a lot of my House of Colors paints. So this is the mixing room. So when people come and they gave me a picture or something of a color they want, I start in here. As you can see, it's a mess, and it always will be. Because this is where I would spray the pieces. And I usually do 3 to 4, maybe 5 at a time in here. And as I was talking about before downstairs, I have the ability to UV cure stuff. And this is basically a glorified tanning booth. But these are all UV lights. So I have that UV pore filler. It's clear. So I wipe that on like mahogany, and I'll wipe it on that buckeye and some exotic woods. And I'll wipe it back off again. I'll stick it in here for about 20 minutes. And then it'll be cured. And then we can put it back, sand it down a little bit, and put it back in this spray booth.
And how many minutes?
About 20 minutes.
That's not bad. All right, so now this, you said this was your stand-up bass.
Well, this is one that I'm doing some research on, and so is a friend of mine. We need to know the value, if it does have any value at all, before I start messing around with it. Because I don't know where it came from.
Not just that you don't want to beat a dead horse. If it's not worth anything, is it worth fixing?
Well, the flip side of that is you don't want to start fixing it if it's worth something just the way it is.
Right.
You know? But I don't know that yet. So I've had it for about a year, and I had somebody do down in Manhattan right now that's doing some research on it. And about the only thing we can get any kind of inkling about what it might be worth is through those tuners.
Right.
So we're not sure. And this is my showroom. We had a lot more guitars in here. A lot of the guitars I put in here are from the people that I do work for. This one here is from a gentleman, Chris Stanbaugh. He's out of New Hampshire. This is a bass. It's a 5-string bass. Beautiful piece of redwood, figured redwood on the top of this thing. This is one of mine. It's GHL. There's another one in the other room that you saw before, but this one has P90s in it. These are Seymour Duncans. They're called Fat Cats. This I bought for 10 bucks at a Vermont tag sale, but I restored it. It took me like 9 years.
Oh, wow.
But I painted the side black. It's black as gloss. But because I'm a guitar player, this I turned into binding. And I did this with cream color, but I also put up a white pearl on the top of that. Now the only thing that's not original is this. This is the bridge. That was destroyed. The neck was off of this thing The sides and the back were off of it, so it did need a lot of work before I put it back together again. And some of these edges were compromised because they had a lot of nicks into it. So this is one of the reasons why I came up with this color combination, is so I could hide this edge from all the damage that was done on it too. Because a lot of it just had to be reshaped and a lot of little pieces had to be put into it. But the front is satin, the sides are gloss, and the neck and the back, they're satin.
Oh,
There's a nice little piece of bird's eye in here too. So, but this, I can't play it, but it sounds great. This is a Joe Bonamassa model. It's a Les Paul. He signed it to me. I have some dedicated customers who actually own this guitar and had Joe Bonamassa sign the guitar. Then they took a picture of it after we put it back together again, and then had Joe Bonamassa sign the picture.
That's cool.
So that's that little story. It's kind of like looking in a mirror. Also, just as a little side note, I do sign the back of my guitars, and just how happy I am and proud of the fact I'm up here in the Catskill Mountains of New York. This is Gerhards Guitarworks. I sign it. This one's called an AI. This is off that Stratocaster, and that's American Inspired. That's what that stands for. A great Northern Catskills, Windham, New York. Just so you know who you're dealing with here.
Absolutely. So you're targeting upstate New York specifically, right?
Well,
from
just
your
so
own woods in your backyard.
Right,
basically.
because a lot of the woods that I'm going to be making my guitars out of are native woods from New York.
That's awesome.
So, just so you know, we were having that discussion before about woods, this and that. There's a lot of tonality in the woods right here in the Catskills, plus a lot of goofy ghost stories too, so keep that in mind. So you can rock and roll with this guitar if you wanted to.
Holy crap, no kidding.
Got myself a little gal and she's always late. Anytime they meet, I have a date, but Lord, I love her. Yes, I love her. Right now, I'm gonna walk right up to her gate just to see if I can get it straight, because I want her. But I'm gonna ask her, honey, is you is, or is you ain't my baby? 'Cause way you're acting lately one thing, that little girl is gonna admit some changes. Is you is, or is you ain't, mom, baby. Has my little girl found herself somebody new? Oh, is my baby still my baby true? Is you is, baby.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent guitar. This is Frank with Q.
That's right. CUE. Robert Q. Gerhards.
Gerhards.
Playing
That's right.
pool. I was a pool player.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah. Not very good. That's why I started making guitars.
I was thinking about that when you said satin finish.
Yeah. On the sticks.
I was thinking about something going on there.
Well, I only play pool like once every 5 years now.
Oh, nice, nice.
There's a reason for that.
There is a reason.
Yeah, there is. I'm not that good.
All right, so this has been an episode of This Side of Q. Gerhards.
This is my side.
That's right.
This is it.
This is the true side.
There's no two sides.
For the guitar player.
I'm one-dimensional. Guitars only, period. That's it. That's all there is.
Cool. Thanks, bro.
Thank you, Frank.
No problem. Thank you.
Creepy camps. Boo!